After 5 years of creating exciting business content with amazing businesses from around the world, Savvy is now creating a new video series entitled Heartbeat of the World. This series will feature experts from around the globe. We will highlight and discuss some of the greatest challenges facing the U.S. and the world. Co-create with us and find out more at bit.ly/SavvyPatron.
Savvy Business Radio and runs in syndication on 8 AM/FM stations nationwide, including iHeartRadio and 6 podcasting platforms. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or to become a guest and find out how we can help you get your message out in a bigger way, call 732-474-7375 or email Christina at savvybusinessradio.com.
Our first guest, Rich Gaines, has changed the business profitability and professional and personal wealth of thousands of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and small business owners across the country. His Make Money and Keep Money can-do strategies are found in his online education programs, live seminars, and his many books. Check out his legal firm at legacylegal.com and visit his wealth strategy business at treasureofwealth.com. Hi, Rich. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous, and I'm so excited to have you out here today. You're going to talk about some amazing things that are very important to everyone, whether you have a business or not. I have a wonderful business called legacy-legal.com, and you're about to start and unleash another wonderful company to help people out there build their wealth. Tax attorney, you've helped people move into LLCs, to build estate plans, probate, all of this great stuff. But before we go to all of that, share with our audience a little bit about what brought you to the world of becoming a tax attorney and then helping people build their legacy.
Well, Christina, it actually started when I was born, because I was born with the name Rich Gaines.
Love it.
And so as I moved through my educational career, I ended up going into law school. And as we were chatting before, one of the things that attracted me to tax law itself is that first of all, I was in a course that was just an introduction to taxation, and I really loved the structure of the tax code and all the details of it, and I had a great professor. But what was more important is I've always been a kind of a fast twitch guy, 50-yard dash. I was on the quarter system in college, so it's, 10 weeks, get in, get out with the studies. Mm-hmm. And, what I realized in the tax law is that the tax law would always be changing because there would always be new laws. And so that really attracted me, because one of the things I couldn't stand doing was sitting here talking about the same legal principle over and over and over again. It would have driven me crazy. So I knew with the tax law that there would always be something fresh, always be something new. And most importantly, I'm the kind of guy, I want to see people save their money. I don't want to see people paying taxes unnecessarily or at all if we can avoid it, preserving their wealth. And so this was like a massively positive way to help people to grow their wealth, to have more money in their pockets, be able to do the things that they want to do. So my name is Rich Gaines. I became a tax attorney, and the best part is my wife and I, we had twins, and they were born on April 15th.
Oh, you're so kidding me.
I'm not kidding. So something was destined to be in my life with relating to all of this. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Well, I love this conversation because for me, before I started my own business, I did the short form every year, and I did it myself. I didn't want to hire anyone. If anything, I'd use TurboTax to just help me guide through all the questions. And I left a lot of money on the table, and it first became obvious to me when one year my friend said, hey, I use a tax attorney, and she also does taxes, and I think she might be able to help you. Let her do your taxes this year, and we'll pay her from your tax return. Well, do you know I got the biggest tax return I've ever gotten working with her that one year, and it just blew my socks. And then when I started a business and I started to learn about all the deductions that are by law allowed, I was like blown away. And so I think that whether you have a business or not, there's a lot of benefits out there that any citizen can use if you know what to use and how to use it, and that's why they need to hire you. Share that a little bit with our audience.
Well, that's a great point, and I see that a lot with businesses, is that I talk about how much money is going down the drain because you're not aware of the opportunities that are out there and the things that you can take advantage of. And, most people go into business because they do something well. But sometimes I like to characterize it that just doing something well is more about making a living. It's not really having a business.
Mm-hmm.
So running a business is very different. It means leverage. It means multiplying your wealth. And so hiring the bookkeepers and the tax professionals who can get in there and can really help you to make sure that the structure of the business is correct, mm-hmm. and that you're taking advantage of all the benefits that the tax law allows is so important. Mm-hmm. Now, it doesn't mean that an individual has to be an expert in these areas, mm-hmm. But when you're running the business, you can take a look at these ideas of what the financial benefits are and what the profit margins are in your business. What's the best strategy to move forward? What's the best structure to put for your business? And by taking advantage of those things, you can save yourself a lot of money. And so what you just said about hiring the tax professional who's going to basically pay for himself because he's going to save you money because he knows all the details. There's a lot of information out on the internet, but how much time do you have to go research? And how much time, look, I've spent 3 years in law school. I've had a 30-year career in this industry. So how much information do you think I've accumulated over these years? And that knowledge of being creative and innovative and understanding the words and how to manipulate things and how to use things in a way that's going to really benefit people. Whereas, somebody goes in and they say, well, this is what I read on the internet today. Yeah, well, okay. That's like reading a book, but not really ever having, done the actual experience of utilizing the information. And that's the big difference. It's the insight and the experience that I have that just is from doing this for so long. And so that's the benefit. It's being able to show the business owner where the loopholes are, where the advantages are, how to call something one thing versus another. And just that classification or characterization can make a huge difference for those business owners.
Wow. It could so true.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just so true. I mean, before I got started with my business, I'd hired this gal 1 year, and I was just blown away when she was able to use my money or find ways to save money for me, and then also tell me ways in which I could build wealth, which is another thing I wanted to touch on. Mind you, what is great about this is you don't need to be a business owner right now to get started to build your wealth and to find ways to really use the tax code to your advantage. You can do that right here today. And if you have a business, even more important that you keep within codes and rules and regulations, but that you also use them to your benefit. Now let's talk a little bit about wealth building and how your business helps people do that. Share that a little bit with them.
Sure, be happy to. So one of the things that I've done is I've really had a transformation from making a living to wanting to make a difference. And as part of that transformation, I built out a company called Treasure of Wealth International. And so this site has things like an online course, which is called the 777 Wealth Growth Course. And it's basically 7 videos that give you everything from planning to how we look at our approach and our thinking about money to the protection around it. And I also wrote a book called The Magic of Money. And so all of these things, I'm actually revamping the website, which will be up pretty soon. But these will all be on the website, www.treasureofwealth.com. And so what I've done is I've taken this idea of wealth and put it into a platform of a very step-by-step guide and structure of how we can build it. And my book talks about 21 action strategies to do that. So when we talk about building wealth, we're talking about things like paying yourself first. When you're a business owner or even if you're employed, our inclination and how we've been taught over the years is pay all your bills first, pay all your bills first. Maybe make sure those are all taken care of. And maybe if there's a morsel at the end of the day, then we'll have a little bit to go on a trip, to Disneyland or take our kids out to dinner. And invariably, that's really the wrong structure. We have to reverse that psychology. We have to reverse that mindset. We have to say to ourselves, particularly if we're employed and we're getting a regular income every month, that means every month your money is going to replenish itself. It's always going to be there. And so what we do is we say, look, take $100, $200, $500, whatever the amount is, and put that aside. That's yours to keep. That's yours to put in the savings account. That's yours to put in the investment account. That's yours to take that family vacation or going to the restaurant or the movies, whatever it is that you want to do. And so by doing that over and over and over each week, each month, all of a sudden that money starts to build up. And as that money starts to build up, you begin to realize how valuable and how important it is and how wonderful it is to have, money that's growing for yourself. And over time, that's how money gets built. That's how the wealth gets built. Now, on the legal side, it's a little different because what I talk about is we do plans for people, and we talk about how we transfer wealth to our children. And so what's so important in that mindset is this is not just about money, but this is about values, beliefs, and traditions. And that's what the essence is that people want. They want security in their life. They want to be certain as to the things that are going to happen in their life. And so I do these plans all the time for people. And when we get into the discussion about are the children ready for wealth, what does that mean? What does it look like? How are they going to use the parents' money? How can we provide for them now instead of just waiting till we're dead? What can we do to build wealth inside of families and have that conversation about what it means and how we can use it positively to benefit not only the family, but to maybe benefit people that are less fortunate, the charitable arm of that. And so that's what building wealth is really about. It's about having that conversation. And as you and I were chatting again before we started, I use the example of a family that has maybe $1.2 million in their wealth. So that what does that mean? That means they have a home, they have some investments, some bank accounts. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's certainly it's nothing to sneeze at either, of course. But even with $1.2 million, and so if we have a couple of kids, so that means each kid's going to get $600,000 each. And so most people will say, yeah, give them a third when they're age 25. And as we drill down into that concept, into that percentage, we realize people are like, oh, well, that's $200,000 to your 25-year-old. Gee, is that what you really want to do? And most people, their jaws drop, their eyes bulge, and they go, oh, my God, that's not what I want to do. And say, great, now we can have a real conversation. And that's the fun of this whole industry. It's what we can really do for people.
Yeah, I love this conversation. And it's so true. We were talking before the interview that people's mindsets, especially the average Joe who might go to work every day, because you see a paycheck come in, whether it's $50,000 or $100,000 a year, you never really put it together to realize that $1 million comes about in not too long of a time if you add up, that salary over a couple of years' time. I told you that I served on a case many years ago where this guy sued the contracting company he worked for $5 million because he fell and broke his back. And at first I was sitting there in the trial thinking that's nuts. But then when the attorneys broke it down and said, well, really, this is what he'd make over his lifetime. And I was like, wow, so $1 million isn't that much money. But I think we forget that because we hear like $1 million lottos or whatever, and we think, oh, that would just fix our lives and everything would be perfect. But when you break it down for them, you realize that $1 million isn't a lot. And you don't want to take a third of that and give that to your 25-year-old who's probably going to go to every bar in the universe and just, it's going to be bye-bye in no time. You want to find a way to really use it to grow. And you mentioned something also very important, Rich, is really paying yourself first. And that doesn't just mean the vacations, but that also means how, to invest for yourself, to invest in your future. It's important to take care of yourself first.
Yes, that's absolutely true. I think that's one of the highest principles in wealth building is to make sure that you're putting that money aside. And I've had people that they do that and, just over a course of time, and it's not even a lot of money. I mean, one guy's $100 a month, but over the course of a couple of years, all of a sudden he's got $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 sitting in his investment account. And that investment account can be invested in proper mutual funds or diverse, I'm not going to get into all the money management stuff, but, to invest it correctly. And, and that's how it grows. And so that's really, really important to be able to accomplish that, and and to grow that money. And it's also a positive reinforcement, because when you see that money grow, all of a sudden you realize that it's possible. It's possible to have a different mindset. It's possible not to think of yourself as, and I use this word very specifically, as broke, because broke is temporary. Poor is a state of mind. Broke is a temporary situation. And so if we get out of that state of mind of being poor, that we all have wealth. We all have something inside of us that's really incredible. We all were born on this planet. We're all unique. We all have a purpose, and it's finding that purpose. It's finding that special thing that we're really good at. And when that happens, our abilities and our opportunities to trust that we're here for a reason, and that allow that purpose to unfold, it's really incredible what can happen for people. And it happens massively quickly. When people are in their environment that they should be in, that they should be doing, it's incredible how fast that happens. And some people, when they're employed, their employer has the 401k, which, to put money aside for them. I mean, that's like saying, okay, I put a little money in and somebody else just gives me free money. Why would you not do that? I mean, that's just, because I know some of the financial guys, they go, well, you're going to get taxed on it later on when when you're 70. Well, great. Well, I had 40 years where I didn't have to get taxed on it. So let it grow, let it build, let it do things. And there's all kinds of strategies around that. So, so that's what I think is one of the best ideas, is to pay yourself first.
Ooh, I love that you also mentioned that being broke is temporary, and poor is a state of mind. I love that you mentioned that, because how many times have I over the years been with either coworkers in the past or people or friends, and you say, oh, I'm so broke. Oh, I'm rather poor. I'm like, dude, you live in a house, you have shelter, you have clothes, you're eating every day. You're not broke. You're not poor. But to really get perspective, and some people have come on the show and said to have that gratitude, maybe a journal to remember your blessings and to be aware of the wealth you do have in your life right now, right here.
I was doing a talk once, and after I got done with the talk, one of the the head of the seminar that I was at, he said, you're a great speaker. And I kind of, played it down. I was like, yeah, well, whatever. I mean, it was, and it was one of those attitudes. And he said, no, own your greatness.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and I went, wow, because, see, I think what happens is very odd, but I think in human psychology what happens is that we all look at our own baselines. And we all look at ourselves based upon our baselines of what we've learned, right? And when that happens to us, it's, I've been 30 years in my business, right?
Yeah.
And in my legal practice and doing taxation, and to me it's like, whatever, it's no big deal. I know this stuff. It's like, so why is this so, why is this so monumental? It's not so great. I've been doing this. But, when you realize that our baseline compared to what other people have done or not done, they don't know that stuff. They don't know this. So to them, it is, I don't want to say genius, but it is. I mean, it's genius in a different sense. It's genius in the minute details of what we've done and the experience of it. And the same works in reverse. People, so I have a sales coach, right? And he helps me with the things that I can say, or the positioning that I should have when I'm doing a selling of a product or something. And we just had this conversation about a week ago, and we were going through this for a particular talk that I was getting prepared for. And I said, "Oh my God, that's just fantastic! It's like genius. It's like I love you, You're and to him, it's probably no big deal because he's done this so much."
Yeah.
So I think what happens is when we look at our own baselines and we don't give ourselves enough credit, we tend to be critical of ourselves, and we really have to change that attitude. We have to say to ourselves that we are incredible human beings, that there is possibility inside of us. We can do so much more. And honestly, Christina, it's no more than just simply changing the words that we use from, I'm this to I'm something different. And when we put those positive affirmations and statements about the things that we can do, what happens is everything in our psychology changes, everything in our body changes, everything in how we look at the opportunities that are out there. It just opens up a whole different mindset of what we can do. And so it's very, very exciting. This stuff is great stuff.
It is. It totally is. And I love what you mentioned there, because I recall early on when I started doing the broadcasting, I had one person after another say, wow, you're really natural. You're good at this. Not really, nah, you're just saying that. It's okay, thanks. And I would always downplay it. It felt really uncomfortable to accept the thank you, or, you're good. And I would downplay it until now I own it. I'm like, yes, this is my gift. I'm grateful for it. And I think you can't begin to be grateful for whatever your gifts are until you could acknowledge and accept a thank you, or you're great at this artwork, or whatever, your tax law, that when people give you the compliment, ready to accept it, because it's a gift from God and it's something that you can bless the world with.
I love that, and just saying a simple thank you. I mean, what a difference that makes when you just say thank you, as opposed to, oh, well, no, it was no big deal, or this or that. I mean, what a difference in just the attitude that conveys. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned something else about investing and different ways you can do that. Speak a little bit to investing in different channels, because I've heard this one guy said it's something that blew my mind recently, and I never thought about this, because I've been thinking about possibly investing in real estate and such, or maybe other business ventures, and looking into different ways I could be an investor. And when I started looking at real estate, well, they said to me, you realize you don't have to invest your own money, because it seemed huge. I'm thinking to myself, I don't have like millions of dollars I can invest in some property or something, a huge property or whatever. And he said, for one, you're not using your money, you're using the bank's money. So he started to say that you have to look at it from a different perspective. Is I don't have $1 million in the bank, so therefore I can't be an investor yet. Looking at it from a way that how can I be an investor, but I will, be using other people's money. Speak a little bit to that.
Well, sure. And again, that kind of brings together all the areas of law and tax and money management. And, there's various different areas of categories of things that you can invest in. Of course, real estate being one of them. And, just like when you buy your home, you're using the bank to pay for a lot of the homes. So real estate's the same thing. Now, you got to I'd say probably the most important principle on this is you want to be invested in things that you enjoy. So if you don't enjoy real estate, don't go into real estate. That would be a disaster. If you don't like stocks, don't go into stocks. I mean, I've had a lot of clients over the years, they've been in real estate and they have nothing in the stock market. And that's because they understand real estate. They know what real estate can do. Look, there's only so much land, that exists in this world. And so the idea of real estate and owning real estate for a long period of time is a fantastic strategy. Now, I heard a statement from Warren Buffett once. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. He said, if you are going to only invest in 6 things, 6 businesses, or let's say 6 pieces of real estate for your entire life, that's it. And you're going to hold these 6 investments for your entire life, how much due diligence would you do? How much investigation would you do? How much knowledge would you acquire to simply be in the 6 businesses or 6 investments that you're going to invest in? And that was just mind-blowing to me. I was like, wow, because most people, what do? They get into the get rich quick scheme, right?
Yes.
This is going to be my way to get $1 million, and of course then they lose their money. Instead of really taking the time, understanding the area that they want to be in, knowing that they enjoy the area that they're going to be in, and to really do the right investigation. And so when you invest in the right company, or you invest in that right real estate project, and you're going to hold this for a 20, 30, 40-year period of time. I mean, I'm 59 years old now, and I'm still saying, and I still look at myself as, okay, my dad and mom are still alive. They're in their 90s. And I'm going, okay, so if I got another 30 to 40 years, so who's to say that I shouldn't, even at my age now, be looking at the concept of I'm going to hold one investment for the next 30 years, and I'm going to allow myself, I actually know that I will be a multi-millionaire by the time I'm in my 70s and 80s, because I know that with these principles and these ideas that when they're implemented, they'll allow me to accomplish that. And I know that from the perspective of, I made all the mistakes when I was younger. I mean, I used to day trade stocks, the daily stuff, and I used to think that I'd be in that next, get rich quick stock, and, sure enough, I got hammered. And so it's all those learnings that I know going forward that I look at, what is the best strategy today? What's the best thing to get into today? So real estate is one of them. Real estate's a great, it's a great investment. It provides great tax benefits. So there's all kinds of things out there.
Yeah, it is. And I like that you mentioned the really researching a part of it, because I have a friend who a number of years ago went into acquiring a number of properties, and now he's a landlord and he hates it. And he's one bad tenant after another, and not knowing really how to get those proper tenants, so you're not having to deal with not getting paid, and then you have to pay the high taxes, and New York has some really peachy ones. So really understanding all of that before you get into a venture like that, and he didn't, and now what do? You can't just unleash the property ASAP. It's not like, bam, I had it today and I can get rid of it tomorrow. There's a process, and now it's a little harder to get rid of it for him, to really take that time to research whatever investment you go into, research and education, till you reach, really build something of great value.
I have realized over my years that, I've been invested in stocks where, had I done nothing but held them, I would be far better shape than I am today. And so, so I've been in a position where I look for cycles in things, such as right now oil is down. Well, if you think oil is going to be down for the next 20 years, then don't be in oil. If you think oil is going to come back and become very profitable, then that might be a good place to be sticking your money. But like you said, it's the long-term thinking. It's just put your money in and forget it, and let it sit, because, when you decide to sell because it's down at the bottom, it invariably goes up.
Yes.
And then when you decide to finally get in and buy, it invariably goes down. So you got, and I'm not saying you don't take some money off the table. You got to do that. You got to take money off, play with the house money at some point. But the more you can just continue to buy and be in something that ultimately will turn around, I think is the best strategy. So
yeah, and then again, that takes time. If you're doing the stock market, my friend had a number of investments, and in 2008, when the bubble burst, she lost almost everything. And she pulled what little she had left out, and I kept telling her, don't do it. I know it looks like you should, because you've lost like 20 grand in a day. But I'm telling you, leave it, because it will go back up. I mean, I've seen the market. It's a cyclical thing. It has bad times, it goes up, and it looks really, really bad right now, but trust me. But no, she took everything out, and she felt really, really leery about investing anymore since then.
Yeah, and then the market turned around.
Yeah.
And it's gone back up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
This has been so fabulous. And you know what? This will air right before tax time. Great advice. And this has been so fabulous having you out here. Before we go, I don't want anyone to leave without finding out how they can work with your business, work with you. Let them know about that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And there's a few ways to do that. So my primary law firm website is www.legacy-legal.com. That's www.legacy-legal.com. People are welcome to email me at rich@familylegacylegal.com. And then I have my new company, as I mentioned, which is www.treasureofwealth.com. And so those two companies together are really about getting wealth success, having wealth success, creating more certainty, more structure, more security in our business and our life, and really getting into congruence, doing what we love and loving what we do.
So important, so important. If you want to make a real impact where you're excited to get up and serve the world in the biggest way possible, you got to start with that, finding your purpose and really living your gifts in the world. Well, this has been wonderful having you out here, Rich, sharing your great wisdom and gifts today on Savvy Business Radio. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. It's been a great time.
The Smarter App Company private labels mobile apps, helping businesses leverage content in order to create income and referral generating systems. Let the Smarter App Company create a unique app for your business today. Contact thesmarterapp.com or call 503-528-4973.